Saturday morning, the Experts program kicks off here on Power Talk Radio, and that means that our tech expert, Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, is with us. Hello, Luis.
Hello, Mark. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you very much for asking. And we have a couple of fascinating topics to get into here. We're going to talk about Tesla supercharging stations, but before we get to that, I wanted to circle back to our Monday conversation where we talked about the California, the CPRA, the
California Consumer Protection Agency.
That's right. And this is something that we voted in by initiative in 2020, and it's going to go into full effect over the next few years. But the idea behind it is to toughen cybersecurity laws that affect businesses generally, including nonprofits and government agencies, about the protection of sensitive data that is stored in the cloud by all sorts of businesses. Mm-hmm. And one of the other things that you and I were talking off the air, that in 2018 there was a law passed. Say I had a relationship with a financial institution, which I did, and I terminated that relationship, and I had an online presence with them, and I wanted that data erased. Now, with a lot of companies, you are able to go in and delete your profile, and supposedly it's supposed to erase all evidence of your having ever been there. And I ran into a situation with a company that I did business with that I terminated the relationship, and then when I called them later to say, hey, where is the button on the website for me to delete my account information? And they basically told me, oh, that's impossible. You can't do that. But rest assured, we're not going to sell your information to anyone. I said, well, I'm less interested in you selling my information. I'll deal with that in another way. I'm more concerned about the fact that if your system is breached, my personal data, including my social security number, is available and some hacker get hold of it. That's why I want my account, my profile deleted. And they said, it's impossible for us to do that. We can't do that. Have a good day. They hang up on you. Now, as I also mentioned to you, not all businesses are cavalier like that. I had a relationship with an auto insurance company. I moved to another, and I went on to the previous company's website, onto my account, and I was able to delete all my information from them. They made it easy. So, number one, it can be done. And then number two, as you and I had discussed, we have a law that says companies can't hold on to your information if you don't want them to. But the 2018 law wasn't clear enough. But is it the case that the 2020 law that we passed is going to clean up what the 2018 law missed?
It does. It cleans up a bunch of stuff, including the fact that it makes it very clear that you as a consumer have the right not only to have your data deleted, but to get all your data that somebody has stored on you anytime you want it. So you have a relationship with a bank and you say, I'm closing that account, but I want all my records and I want to download those records so that I have them in my system. And I also want you to delete them so that you don't have them in yours. They have to acquiesce to that request. It's going to take a while to implement. Of course, there's some technology challenges for some companies like the one you mentioned that may not have that capability. But at the end result will be that the law will state that if you're doing business with anybody that's in California, regardless of where you're located, if your consumer is located in California, then you have to provide that service.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And then I would imagine if I still get pushback from the company, I could contact the state of California and say, hey, these guys refuse to get rid of my data. What can we do about that? And there's supposed to be some mechanism where they can enforce that?
Exactly. So once a consumer privacy agency is up and running, then you'll be able to contact them and say, hey, these guys are not playing by the rules, and they'll take care of it for you.
All right, let's jump into this story here. And this has to do with Tesla. Apparently, Tesla is going to expand supercharger stations to all electric vehicles. This is news coming out of the White House. What exactly is a Tesla supercharger station, and what makes this important for non-Tesla drivers?
Well, Tesla was first to the party with electric vehicles at scale. I mean, they didn't develop the first one, but they're the most popular. And part of that is that they built all these charging stations across the country that are specific to the Tesla car. They have a different connector or plug, if you will. So if you own a non-Tesla vehicle, you can't use their chargers, including their superchargers, which can charge a car battery up to 80% of its strength in less than 15 minutes. Well, as you know, the Biden administration and Congress passed this big infrastructure bill last year that includes billions of dollars to expand charging stations across the country. And one way that they're going to be using that money is to get companies that have already built charging stations that are proprietary, like Tesla, to open them up to other vehicles. And that way they can more quickly expand the ability of all electric vehicles to have charging station options across the country. Eventually, they want to build 50,000 charging stations across the country. Right now, there's probably about 10. So it's a real little tall order, if you will. But if they can get Tesla to cooperate, and it looks like it's going to, then they can get there faster by having all the existing charging stations available to all electric vehicles. And, this is the year of the electric vehicle. There's a lot of really good new cars coming out this year that are pretty affordable. And I think a lot of people are going to be jumping on EVs, especially with gas prices being stubbornly high and not coming down anytime soon. People just want options. And so this is going to put some minds at ease when it comes to, buying a non-Tesla and having options to charge it up wherever you go.
What does it cost to use a supercharger station? Any idea?
Yeah, it's like less than $2 to fill it up. It's super cheap. I mean, we're not talking about per kilowatt hour. We're talking about total. It's very inexpensive to charge up your car. Some charging stations, for example, are free. If you go to certain retailers, they have charging stations available and they're zero cost to consumers. We're putting in a charging station in our parking lot. Several of our employees have gotten electric vehicles and we want to be able to provide that service free of charge to them since it doesn't cost us very much to do.
Okay. Well, that's certainly good news for anybody that has an electric vehicle, this thing coming along. And then what about the regular charging stations? Do they charge the same $2? Are they more or less?
No, they're pretty much all about the same price. It really is not intended to make a lot of money because they want to encourage people to use, unlike gas stations where, you have people that man the gas station and have to resupply it. It's very logistical heavy and therefore there's a cost to it. And you have to charge more for gas than you pay for it. Electricity, once you set up a charging station, it's pretty much a self-serve kiosk.
Okay.
So no need to make a lot of money on that.
So I see charging stations in retail store parking lots like grocery stores and so forth. Are those charging people? Are they like $2? Are they more or less? Or what's the story on those?
They should be charging around the same amount. It's not a ton of money. That's usually somewhere between 30 and 60 cents per kilowatt hour. So depending on how much you need to charge, it could be upwards of $3 or $4 if you have a pretty empty battery. But for most people, they're just topping off. So it's just going to cost them a few 50 cents to $1 somewhere in there.
And the other thing, too, with these fast charges, any truth to the claim that, because I know with other batteries, this is the case, that a fast charge deteriorates the battery and lessens its long-term life?
Yeah, I have heard that with the earlier lithium-ion battery packs. The newer ones have better protection against that. And so you're starting to see that these battery packs are lasting longer and hold their charges longer. So that's one of the reasons that you're starting to see the cost of these electric vehicles come down because the battery packs have become more efficient and become less costly.
Okay, so we're talking about batteries and EV cars with Luis Alvarez today here on Power Talk Radio. On our expert segment online, it's alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is their Twitter handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.